Alright, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin this lesson by giving all glory, all honor, and all praises unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash, giving double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who surely do rule well. And as always, I'd like to say Shalom unto the elect. Right, there's a brother here, Maya Shala, from the Heralds of Yahawashi camp, coming back to you again with another bit of edification, and Lord's willing, this lesson is edifying. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right? And the topic for today's lesson, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash, wants the smoke. Right? And what do I mean when I say this? Well, I have the question here up in Google AI. Right? What does it mean when someone says want the smoke? The response they give, when someone says they want the smoke, it means they are ready for a fight, conflict, or a serious challenge. Popularized by hip-hop culture, the word smoke is slang for trouble or gun smoke, meaning the person is not afraid of confrontation and is daring someone to test them. Core meanings: ready for battle, signaling total readiness to compete, argue, or fight. No fear, showing they will not back down from a threat or difficult opponent. Trash talk, used in sports, video games, and social media to challenge a rival. Common variations: I want all the smoke, asking for absolute maximum level of challenge. Asking for the absolute maximum level of challenge or opposition. Right? And another common variation, you don't want the smoke, warning someone that they will lose or regret starting a conflict. Right? And Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash does want all the smoke. They are ready for battle. They show no fear and have no fear of anyone. And they even use trash talk. Right? But we're going to get into it. Right? We want to start with the Most High, Yahawah himself. He is ready for battle because he is a man of war. He's such a man of war. He is planning a full-scale invasion of this place. Right? So not only does he want the smoke, not only is he ready for battle, but he's the one who's going to start the smoke. He's going to start the battle. Right? Right? And we know that's one of the characteristic traits of the Most High that defines who he is as a person. Right? It's part of his MO, if you would. Right? The fact that he is a man of war. He loves war. He loves conflict. That's a part of who he is. Right? Exodus chapter 15, and I'll even read from verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto Yahawah, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahawah, for he had triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Yahawah is my strength and song, and he is become my salvation. He is my power, and I will prepare him an habitation, my father's power, and I will exalt him. Yahawah is a man of war. Yahawah is his name. It's a part of his MO. It's a part of who he is as a person, or as a God, in fact. Right? And he even has, I remember, as we just read in the definition that AI gave, it showed what? That wanting the smoke is a part of trash talk. Right? Well, the Most High has trash talked the people of the earth already. Right? And he made this bold, triumphant declaration or statement that he's ready to throw down all of his enemies. Right? This is the book of Deuteronomy 32. And we're going to read from verse 1. For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. I'm going to read this in the NIV as well. Right? I'll read to the point, and then we'll read this in the NIV as well. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are full of gall, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand. So the Most High is promising an assured destruction of these people, right? Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and things that shall come upon them make haste. For Yahawah shall judge his people, and repent himself for his servants, when he seeth that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. And he shall say, Where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. Right? If I whet my glittering sword, and mine hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to mine enemies, and will reward them that hate me. I will make mine arrows drunk with blood. My sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. And Moses came and spake all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea the son of Nun, which is Joshua. Right? I'm going to read this now in the NIV from verse 39. See now that I myself am he, there is no God besides me. I put to death and I bring to life. I have wounded and I will heal, and no one can deliver out of my hand. I lift my hand to heaven and solemnly swear, as surely as I live forever, when I sharpen my flashing sword and my hand grasps it in judgment, I will take vengeance on mine adversaries and repay those who hate me, who are the adversaries of the Lord. Psalms chapter 2, Psalms 83, Nehemiah 5 and 9, the heathen nations. Psalms chapter 9 as well, right? I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, while my sword devours flesh, the blood of the slain and the captives, the heads of the enemy leaders. Rejoice, you nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants. He will take vengeance on his enemies, and make atonement for his land and people. The Lord has promised, in fact, let me see here, even verse 35, let me see this here. I'll read verse 35 in the NIV. It is mine to avenge. I will repay. In due time their foot will slip. Their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. Yahawah is a warlord. He's planning a full-scale invasion to fulfill Deuteronomy 32, verse 35. Right? Why? Because he wants all the smoke. And more than him being a warlord, he can't be a warlord without weapons. The Most High even has that plan for these people. This is book of Jeremiah 50 and verse 25. He has weapons and he wants to unleash them in the earth. Right? Jeremiah 50 verse 25. Yahawah opened his armory and brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of Yahawah, the power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Right? The Most High has weapons and he wants to unleash them. He wants all the smoke. He wants to war these nations. Right? Isaiah 54, verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. What is this verse speaking of? What is Jeremiah 50:25 speaking of? It's speaking of the missiles, right? The nuclear missiles, the ICBMs that are created in the air today was all the working of the Most High himself. Why? Because he has a target land that he plans to shoot those missiles at in these last days, right? He wants all the smoke. He plans to start the war. Let me see. Jeremiah 51 and verse. Let me see here. Jeremiah 51 and verse 11. Jeremiah 51 verse 11, and I'll read from verse 9. Jeremiah 51 from verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Speaking of America today, right? Mystery Babylon, Revelation 17 verse 5. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Yahawah had brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahawah our power. And what is his work? Verse 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields, right? Remember, let me see, I believe we just read it in Deuteronomy 32:39, right? Because it just said, not 32:39, but chapter 32. Right, verse 42, I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, right? So he has arrows, he just spoke about them in Deuteronomy 32, verse 42, and now we are seeing here he's making mention of them again in verse 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahawah raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device, his plan is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahawah, the vengeance of his temple, right? So the Most High has weapons, and he definitely plans to unleash them against these nations, and that is all a part of his plan, which he has to rise against these nations in war, right? There is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verses 8, right? Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith Yahawah, until the day that I rise up to the prey, right? For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. The Lord has planned, he has determined, he has devised to what? Go against Babylon, right? In what? In war. Why? Because he wants the smoke. The Most High is fully prepared and fully ready and fully determined in his mind to war the nations of the earth, starting with the capital, right? This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, reading from verse 9, right? Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Come up to where? Verse 12 says it, that the heathen be wakened, right, and come up to the valley of Yahawashi. That word is Yahawashi in the Hebrew, which is what? Yahawah's judgment, the valley of Yahawah's judgment, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. The same valley where he says what in the Zephaniah 3 and 8, he's going to gather them. He's going to carry all of them to that place through war, right, because they are all going to be gathered to that place, right, the Levant in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, to what? Duke it out in World War III, but to what end? To actually be destroyed by the Most High Yahawah, right? Let me see here. Yeah, verse 19. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right? The Most High is going to do all of this to what end? To avenge himself and avenge his nation and avenge his land of the adversaries. Right? You read it in Deuteronomy 32 and verse let me see here. Was it verse 43? Yes. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. Again, the Egyptians are the adversaries of the Lord. Read the book of Exodus, right? And we know Edom is the adversaries of the Lord, the chief ones in these last days. Read the book of Exodus, chapter 17, right? Amalek, he will have war with Amalek from generation to generations. The wars are coming, right? And the Lord is the one, Yahawah is the one set to bring it to the earth, right? So he wants the smoke. Yahawashi as well, his son, even wants the smoke. Why? He's going to send Yahawashi, right, to accomplish his vengeance upon them that dwell in the earth. This is the book of Isaiah 63, and reading from verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Who is this? Well, I just gave you the clue here in that last line, mighty to save. Who is the one who is to save us all? Yahawashi, Matthew 1:21, shall call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people from their sins. Right? Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat? Why is it are you looking like you just came from a war? Right? Because he was sent to wage war on these nations, and we're going to get into who sent him. Right? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all mine raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, it's on my mind, and the year of my redeemed is come. Right? So Yahawashi himself plans to war these nations, right? Revelation 19 and verse 11, and he plans to do this immediately upon his return. Right? Revelation 19 and 11, and I saw heaven open, right? And behold, a white horse, his chariot, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness doth he judge and make war. So not only does Yahawah plan to make or start a war upon the face of the earth, his son even plans to do so. And why? Because he was sent to do so. This is the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 31. I'll read verse 30. And the times of this ignorance power winked at, but now commanded all men everywhere to repent. Why? Because he had appointed a day. So again, showing you this is all the work and all the doing of Yahawah, in the which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he hath ordained. Right? So he's going to judge the world in righteousness by the hand of Yahawashi, or using Yahawashi, who is his right hand, and he says he's doing it in righteousness. Revelation 19:11 just said what? In righteousness doth he judge and make war. Right? He's going to righteously do this, whereof he had given assurance unto all men, in that he had raised him from the dead. Right? So Yahawashi is coming here to war these nations on behalf of his Father, right? In the might and the strength of his Father, off of commandment and instruction from his Father, right? Psalms 40 verse 7, then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my power. Yea, thy law, thine instruction, thy commandments is within mine heart. Right? So just like the Isaiah 63 we just read, that day is in his heart, right? It's on his mind. The instruction that the Father is going to give him when he returns here is going to be on his mind, and that instruction is to what end or to what result? It's actually to bring war to these nations. Yahawashi himself is even motivated to do this. He himself wants to do it. Right? This is the book of Isaiah 47 and verse 3. Right? I will even read, verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Who's the person who's going to come here and meet these people, but in more than in the power of a man? And as he's coming in the power of the Almighty power. It's Yahawashi, right? He himself wants to war these nations. He himself wants all the smoke. Luke 12 and verse 49. He so wants the smoke, he's the one bringing the fire, right? Luke 12:49. I am come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? Yahawashi was pissed off 2,000 years ago, right? And 2,000 years later, all he's been doing is thinking about all the terror he set to unleash on the earth. And that's been dwelling in his mind for 2,000 years. So when Yahawashi returns here, he's going to go ham, right? He's going to rip these nations to shreds, right? This is the book of, and rip these nations to shreds is a fitting description of what he's going to actually do, because what he's known as the lion. When a lion devours his prey, or when a lion is on the hunt and he finally catches his prey, what does he do? Sharp teeth, sharp claws, right? He actually rips the flesh of his prey. Yahawashi is going to rip these nations to shreds. He's likened unto a lion, right? Jeremiah 4 and verse 7, the lion, and again he is the lion, right? Revelation 5, the Lion of the tribe of Judah had prevailed to open the 7 seals thereof. Right, so this lion is speaking of Yahawashi. The lion has come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. Right, so we clearly see what Yahawashi is determined to do in these last days, right? When he makes his return, he's going to what? He's going to make the land desolate and what? Lay these cities waste. He's going to kill everybody, right? Not literally killing everybody, but anywhere where he goes upon his immediate return is set for sore destruction, right? One more we have on it, Isaiah 66, and we're going to read from verse 14. And when you see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of Yahawah, who is the hand of Yahawah, Yahawashi, seated at the right hand of the Father, shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation towards his enemies. For behold, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi shall be many. Yahawashi is going to delight in this, the destruction of the nation that he has planned for since 2,000 years ago up until now, that he still hasn't gotten the chance to unleash upon them. He's going to rejoice in the day that he gets to fulfill the commandment that his Father will give him, which is what? Leave the heavens and visit the earth, right? And bring judgment to the earth, right? So we know Yahawah wants all the smoke, and Yahawashi wants the smoke. But even do the angels, right? Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Bahasham Qadash, even the Qadash wants the smoke as well. How do we know this? Revelation 19, we're going to go back here. Revelation 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, right? The chariot again. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness doth he judge and make war, right? His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, because he took down all the rulerships of the earth, all the kingdoms and dominions of the earth. He was the stone that smote the statue, Daniel 2:44. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself, right? His rank, the authority that he carries, no man knows it. What does that mean? No man is the Son of Man. No man is the King of Kings. No man is the Lord of Lords. Only he has that rank, right? And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Power. Verse 14 here is the answer, right? How do we know that the angels want the smoke as well? Because they are going to follow him when he ignites the fire. They are following him from the heavens into the earth, and they are also going to have their hand in this war that he will wage. Verse 14, Revelation 19:14. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And what did they do when they followed him upon white horses? They did the same thing that he is going to do, which is what? Wage war on the world. Right? Right? They are going to wage war on the world, right? There is the book of Isaiah 5 and 16. But the Lord, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi of hosts, shall be exalted in judgment, and power that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness. Reason I pulled this verse, right, is because I wanted to go into that word hosts in the Hebrew. It goes into the Hebrew word from the Hebrew Strong 6635, right, which goes into the Hebrew word tazabah, right, which means what? That which goes forth, army, war, warfare hosts, army host, host of organized army, host of angels, right? Warfare, service, go out to war, right? Part, even the senior definition C, what? Service. One of the services that the angels afford to the Most High, or one of their acts of service towards the Most High, is to do what? Go out to war at his command, right? Yahawah is known often in the scriptures, you're going to see it, right? Yahawah of hosts, or the Lord of hosts, right? The Lord of heaven's armies, right? You even see it in the New Testament, the book of Romans 9 and verse 29. And as Isaiah said before, except the Lord of Sabaoth had left us a seed, we had been as Sodom and been like unto Gomorrah. Right? What does that Lord of Sabaoth mean? What does the word Sabaoth mean? Going into it in the Greek, is the Greek Strong's 4519. Lord of Sabaoth, 1a, Lord of the armies of Israel, as those who are under the leadership and protection of Yahawah maintain his cause in war. Who's the armies of Israel? It's the angels. They are the ones who go forth on behalf of Yahawah and going to be on behalf of the elect in these last days to do what? Wage war on these nations. Wait, say Revelation 12 and it's verse, well, I guess I could read verse 7 as well. And there was war in heaven, in the skies. We're going to see this war take place. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, right? When you go down here to verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying, now in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. Who's the brethren of the angels? The Israelites, right? The armies of Israel, speaking of the angels, right? Go in here to even the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahawah. Who are his mighty ones? It's the angels, right? Can't remember which chapter it was, but if you read in the book of First Kings, I believe, right, it makes mention of an angel which the Lord unleashed, right, upon an army which slew what? 185,000 men. Even if you read the book of First Chronicles 21, it gives you the account of the Lord judging Israel because of the sin David committed when he ran an unauthorized census, right, to number the men of the nation of Israel, Salakia, right, to number the nation of Israel, and as penance, David had the ability to pick the judgment which he wanted, right? And David picked the pestilence from the Lord. And what did the Lord do? He sent a destroying angel to the nation of Israel, which killed 70,000 men, right? So when the Lord gives the commandment, the angels are always ready and always willing to go to war. So the angels want the smoke. Why? Because Yahawah himself wants it. Yahawashi himself wants it. Even Yahawashi, he's what? He's the captain of the Lord's host, Joshua 5. Right? So if you're general and your commander wants war, how are you as loyal soldiers that you are don't want war as well? And we know the angels loyal. They never transgress any commandment that they are given. Sirach chapter 39, we're going to read from verse 28. Right, there be spirits, which the angels are spirits. I believe that Hebrews 1:14, who make it his angels spirits and his ministers a flame of fire. Right, the angels are spirits. Right, Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 39, verse 28, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which again, all the smoke that the Most High wants, even the fire he's going to send, it's all a part of what? His vengeance that he has planned for his enemies, right? Which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they poured their force and appeased the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail, famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Right? So there's a spirit behind all of this. There's a spirit behind fire. There's a spirit behind hail. There's a spirit behind famine. There's a spirit behind death. And all of these were created as what? Judgments. Right? Or metrics the Lord uses to pronounce or dish out his judgments in the earth. Right? Teeth of wild beasts. We saw this. I believe that is the story in Kings, right? Where the children were mocking Elijah when they were calling him a bald head, right? They were saying, "Go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head." And Elijah did what? He cursed them in the name of Yahawah. And then what? 2 she-bears came out of the forest and devoured 40 and 2 of those ignorant, insolent children, right? Showing you what? There was a spirit that caused that to happen, right? The Lord answering Elijah's prayer or answering his curse that he sent up. Showing you what? There's a spirit behind it. A spirit possessed those 2 she-bears and they did what? They ripped those children to shreds. And scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment. So when he gives out the command and the instruction to go to the earth and unleash fury and bring fire to the earth, what? They shall rejoice when he gives it, right? And they shall be ready upon earth when need is. When their time is come, they shall not transgress his word, right? So he warriors, he mighty ones, he army, they are coming as well. Why? Because they too want the smoke, right? And it's gonna be a chaotic scene upon the face of the earth when they make their appearance, right? When the Most High finally decides that he's ready to destroy this place, it's gonna be a chaotic scene around the 4 corners of the earth. Matthew 24 from verse 27, right? For as lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So he's coming in a flash, and everybody's going to see him, right? So from the east to the west, everybody's going to see him. He's coming in a flash. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Which carcass is speaking of the elect, right? Colossians 3 verse 3. For ye are dead, and your life is hid in Mashiach. Dead how? You're dead to the world. You killed your former old man, right? And you buried him in this place. You're dead to the world, dead in this world, right? Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Right? Just want to read how that is read in the NIV, if you bear with me here. Right? Right, Matthew 24 and verse 30. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man. Right? And they shall see finishing here in the KJV, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And again, remember, we read it in Revelation 19. The armies which were in heaven, the angels, followed him upon white horses as well. So this is not just talking about a horse or a cloud, it's actually speaking of the chariots. Right? All those are words which are similitudes to chariots. Right? So-called UFOs. Matthew 24:31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. But why does it say here that all the tribes of the earth gonna mourn when they see the Son of Man makes his appearance? Because of the things that they are going to do. Again, right, they want all the smoke. They are bringing destruction to the face of the earth. This is the book of Nahum chapter 1. And we're going to read, I'll even read this in the NIV. Right? See how the NIV has this. Bear with me a second here. Right? This is the book of Nahum chapter 1, reading from verse 1 in the NIV Bible. A prophecy concerning Nineveh, which this is spiritual Nineveh that we currently dwell in today. Right? The book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. The heading here, Yahawah's anger against Nineveh. Yahawah is a jealous and avenging power. Yahawah takes vengeance and is filled with wrath. Yahawah takes vengeance on his foes and vents his wrath against his enemies. Yahawah is slow to anger but great in power. Yahawah will not leave the guilty unpunished. His way is in the whirlwind and in the storm, and clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebukes the sea and dries it up. He makes all the rivers run dry. Bahasham and Carmel wither, and the blossoms of Lebanon fade. The mountains quake before him, and the hills melt away, which is things that gonna happen when Yahawashi makes his triumphant return to the earth. Because again, the Most High wants the smoke, he is gonna start the fire. Right? The earth trembles at his presence. I'll be back from the top, verse 5. The mountains quake before him, and the hills melt away. The earth trembles at his presence, the world and all who live in it. Who can withstand his indignation? Question mark. No one can. Who can endure his fierce anger? Another question, and the answer is no one can. His wrath is poured out like fire. The rocks are shattered before him. Yahawah is good, a refuge in times of trouble for his elect. He cares for those who trust in him, which is the elect. But with an overwhelming flood, he will make an end of Nineveh. He will pursue his foes into the realm of darkness. Whatever they plot against Yahawah, he will bring to an end, which is again, remember when you read what the smoke means, AI says what? All your plans will be futile. It doesn't make sense to come against the Most High, but they still will. Whatever they plot against Yahawah, he will bring to an end. Trouble will not come a second time. Right? This is the final trouble that we're living in right now. Right? And the Lord has a plan to end it. Right? Which is why you often read, right, or it's often said, or it's often echoed, the sentiment that Ezra made in 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Because when the Lord is done with this place, he's going to put everyone in fear, right? Fear of him. This is 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 17. Woe is me who will deliver me in those days at that time, during the time when the Most High sends his son to make his appearance in the earth, because again they are bringing war, right? And they're going to win the war that they will bring to the earth, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, and reading from verse 13. Right? And the same hour was there a great earthquake caused by the missiles, and a 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven. Again, woe is me. Right? The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, which that earthquake is going to be the culmination of what? Of the third woe, right? When the missiles hit Babylon, right? And verse 15, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord Yahawah and of his anointed Yahawashi, and he shall reign forever and ever. So not only did they want the smoke by starting the war and waging the war, but what they also won the war that they waged and that they started upon the face of the earth, because Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is winning World War III, right? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and that you were edified. In closing, I'd like to say, Kal Halal Yamla, Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Qadash, right? I will give double honors, double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone who surely do well. And as always, I'd like to say, Shalom unto the elect. Right, this was a brother here, Maya Shala, from the Heroes of Yahawashi camp. Until next time, I'd like to say, Shalom. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.